so-called life mission that I think that I'm supposed to do is real, that what I'm battling in my head is real. I woke up about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning with the feeling there was a presence in my room. And I opened my eyes, I looked up, and I saw the square ceiling light on the ceiling. I'm looking at it, and to the left of it, something started to occur. All of a sudden, I saw this like fog or smoke starting to come into the room from just below the level of the ceiling. And at first, I thought it was electrical fire. But I was like, wait a second, that's not how a fire moves. Usually you see some browning or that sort of thing. And this was coming, and it wasn't actually coming out of the ceiling. It was actually coming out from a plane just below the ceiling. And more of the smoke or illuminated fog started to come into the room. And it wasn't stopping. I remember thinking, am I hallucinating? I closed my eyes and I shook my head back and forth to try and stop it. But it continued. And so this fog started filling up the ceiling area above my head. I'm watching it. Part of me is terrified. Part of me is curious. What is this? What's going on here? And then I see this kind of a portal open up, like an oval-shaped dark portal. It was pitch black, but it was in the middle of the cloud, and the clouds were kind of coming out of it, and the cloud and fog were around it. I'm looking at this dark portal. I can't see anything. And all of a sudden, I see swoosh, this snake-like tail or movement moving from bottom up within the portal. And it looked like it was connected, like it was either two snake tails or a snake-like body that had two vertebrae in it, like parallel tails adjacent to each other. And it went up, and it was kind of grayish on the bottom, and it had kind of black, and it was scalish too, black scales.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I do think I know what creature he's describing. There is, for those of you who have watched all the series that we've been doing on Persia being the source of this Aryan race that went down and this occult technology that the Nazis were using and all of that, the Persian word for this creature he's describing is Typhon. It was carried down through the ages, through Greek mythology and the other mythologies, as Typhon or Typhon, and it is described as a black smoke creature similar to like in that TV series Lost, but it manifests into exactly what he's describing, a two-tailed serpent with a humanoid type body on top. But anyway, this black smoke creature, Typhon, is where we get the word typhoon from, like when Jesus rebuked the storm and that sentient atmosphere obeyed him and stopped. And it's also where we get the word typhoid, like typhoid fever, that this spirit causes illness. For example, this would be one piece of ancient art showing this type of creature. So this is interesting. Typhon was said to be the son of Tartarus and the father of the Hydra. So for those of you who put the puzzle pieces together from the ancient texts and have watched the Hail Hydra series and the Hydra DNA used in these injections and all of that, I think this might be interesting. And this is a depiction of his wife, also having the two serpent tails as legs. So you can take it or leave it. I know that some people won't want to hear about this type of mythology in a video like this, but in the sense that this interview is intended to point out that there is a correlation between demonic, what the ancient texts call demonic entities, and what we are now calling these energy parasites, spiritual parasites, things like that. I just thought it was important to point out, while this gentleman describes this demonic entity manifesting in his room, that there is in mythology an entity recorded exactly like that, a black smoke demon that has these two snake legs.
And then I see this kind of a portal open up, like an oval-shaped dark portal. It was pitch black, but it was in the middle of the cloud, and the clouds were kind of coming out of it, and the cloud and fog were around it. I'm looking at this dark portal. I can't see anything. And all of a sudden, I see swoosh, this snake-like tail or movement moving from bottom up within the portal. And it looked like it was connected, like it was either two snake tails or a snake-like body that had two vertebrae in it, like parallel tails adjacent to each other, and it went up, and it was kind of grayish on the bottom, and it had kind of black, and it was scalish too, black scales. And I remember saying to myself, "What is that?" So the fog is filling up more out of this, coming out of this portal. I saw the snake-like movements, and then I see these serpentine movements within the clouds, almost like it's something's coming out of that portal, and it's filling up the room. And then all of a sudden, this face goes across my field of vision from left to right. And it was basically from the side, it looked kind of like dog or lion-like. And the rest of his body was the serpentine tail.
Don't you have a drawing or picture of that thing?
Yeah, actually, I'll get to that a little bit later. So it's actually... It came into the room from left to right, and I didn't know what it was. I was like, boy, if I'm hallucinating, this is really weird. Because, I mean, I didn't have any fear of snakes or anything. One of my college roommates had a boa constrictor, and I used to hold it all the time, no problem. So it wasn't some underlying fear that was coming up. So then the face turns towards me, and it looked like almost like a disabled cat or mangy lion that had been through a few fights. And I remember its left eye looked like it was slightly damaged. It might even look like it was blind in his left eye. I couldn't really tell. I kept thinking, okay, is this a hallucination or is this thing really in my room? What is going on here? And all of a sudden, the face changes into the most horrible thing that I could possibly imagine. It became very ghoulish-like, hobgoblin-like, and it came down towards me from the ceiling, opening its mouth almost like to devour me. I was terrified. I mean,
well, that's very interesting. I tell you why, because there was I used to know this person who was a psychic basically, and he described that type of beings that used to affect. He used to see that being lingering above people that were either demonically possessed or victims of black magic. He used to see that.